internet, I got an interesting question I want to answer.
If one doesn't want to write songs, is then theory necessary?
This is an interesting question because usually I get the same questions from songwriters asking me, is necessary to learn music theory to write songs? After all, I can just write songs completely by ear. In fact, I also get the specific same question from other people like, is it necessary to learn music theory if I'm an improviser? After all, I can go by ear. Or it is necessary to learn music theory if I just want to do whatever, because I'm just going to do whatever instead. So let me tell you one thing. If you want to be a musician, music theory is necessary. Period. Simple as that. Okay? Indeed, what today we call music theory was once simply called music. Okay? Everything we teach today as music theory was, in the Baroque era or before, taught simply as music. You were learning music, you were actually learning music theory, or what today we call music theory. And you were learning also the application of these to the instrument. Okay? Composing and music theory were the exact same thing. Playing the instrument and knowing what you're playing, so knowing music theory, was actually the same thing. It was taught in an integrated way, as opposed to today when apparently we separate theory from everything else, and then we are wondering why we can't compose the same thing that people before us were able to compose with ease. Okay? Yes, you need theory. I regularly get people telling me that they composed their songs without theory. And then you check and you're like, you are playing a progression, a G of progression, which is like G, C, and D. And they go, yes. What do you think chords are? Chords are theory. Just because you learn about them and nobody told you that they're theory doesn't mean that they're not theory. They're theory. Okay? And you're welcome, by the way. I regularly get questions like, do I need to learn theory if I just want to play something like the questions we have today? Yes, you do. Because you may want to adapt that thing, okay? So if you're just learning how to strum your guitar, okay, and you're learning a handful of chords, which incidentally are music theory again, and a number of shapes essentially, so associated, this is the G major chord, this is the D major chord, and you just want to read through the chords and strum, you can just do that, yes, but guess what? You just learned some theory. Okay, you learn that there are specific sounds that we call with the letters or with the letters plus and an M after that for minor, or the letter and then a number 7 after that for seventh and a few more, okay? And then you associate those with shapes on your guitar, which is incidentally the hardest way to learn all that, because if you knew how those chords are built and how to build them yourself on the guitar, it would be much easier. Seriously, it would be a bit more of a time investment at first, but it would be much easier. The moment you go beyond major and minor chording, you start with sevenths, ninths, whatever else, it's just easier to learn how chords are built and then find those shapes on your guitar by yourself. It's an order of magnitude less work to do that. But even then, suppose you have your song and then you want that this song is too low for you or too high for you to sing. Then you will have to learn to transpose the song, and guess what? That's still theory. Sure, you can get away with a capo and then playing the chords higher on the guitar. You cannot really play them lower, okay? You could just learn how to transpose and this would be easier, no? Okay? Maybe you want to play with a band, and I don't want you to play the full chord all the time. So maybe rather than playing the G this way, you want to play G just on the top 3 strings, and a different position for that G. And guess what? You need to know music theory for that. The take-home message is this: you are learning music theory anyway. There's no escaping that. The moment you start talking about chords, for instance, or where to put your finger down on the guitar. If they tell you, okay, on the 3rd string, put down the finger on the 5th fret, okay. That's just another way of doing music theory, which is just a very complex, inefficient way of doing music theory, okay, because it's still, let's count 5 from the bottom of the string. It's just easier to know that this is a C note, okay, it's just easier. But you're learning theory anyway. Your choices are, if you want to learn theory in an inefficient and useless way, and so waste a lot of time with rules of thumbs, or this is just the shape, or put your finger on the 5th fret and all this kind of thing. Or if you want to actually learn the theory that works, make your life much easier, put a little bit more time investment, not much, just a little bit more at the beginning, okay, and then later you can do whatever you want with music, which is much more satisfying because you learn to change the way this instrument sounds to follow how you want to play and how you want to sound, and it's everything gets so much easier, okay, and you understand what's going on. And this, regardless of your goals. This works if you just want to play songs, if you just want to compose songs, if you want to compose and play them, if you want to read from a score, if you want to read from a chord chart, if you don't want to read, if you want to go by ear, if you just want somebody else explaining you the songs, if you never want to play the instrument but you want to write on a computer, if you want to write on a score, if you don't want to write on a score, okay, if you play guitar, piano, violin, flute, bassoon, whatever, okay, all of this works for all those instruments and for all the situations. Why wouldn't you want to learn that? I mean, it's just incredible. How many videos on YouTube that tells you you don't have to learn theory, and how many people flock to those videos? Okay, it's mind-boggling. Seriously, okay? And then all those people have the same problems and they cannot do the things they want to play. They cannot play the thing they want to play. They don't know what to do. They don't understand how music works, and they stay frustrated, and they are frustrated, and they stay frustrated because they don't understand the thing. And the solution is seriously just a tiny little bit of music theory to understand what's going on. But they keep going around that because they think it's too hard. Everybody is searching for a shortcut. Music theory is the shortcut. Music theory is the shortcut to go from where you are right now to sound however you want to sound. It works. Sit down and study it. It's easier to do that than doing anything else. Anything else you can do, it's just a longer road. It's just more work and more frustration. Learn a little bit of music theory, and everything is easier. That's today's message. This is Tommaso Zilli of MusicTheoryForGuitar.com, and until next time, enjoy.